What's up, Vikings Nation? Now, training camp is just a couple weeks away, and we talked about that yesterday. But there's still some things that the Vikings need to do or could do. Obviously, we already know about the extensions that have to take place with Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson. Also, the Danielle Hunter situation, what's kind of transpiring around that. But they also might need to add a couple more players, maybe just one, maybe two. I'm not so sure they're going to add to the running back room. At least there's been no movement on that. Well, there's literally been no movement at all on any player. But there's one person in particular that the Vikings should look to add, and I want you guys' opinion on this. But one person that Will Regatz thinks, who's a Vikings insider, he writes for Fan Nation for the Vikings and stuff like that, he pointed out Trey Flowers, edge rusher, outside linebacker, as a potential athlete, or a potential player, I should say, that the Vikings should look to add before camp gets underway. Now, the Vikings don't have to be done adding to their roster. As training camp and the regular season approach, they have the cap space to sign a few more players who can add depth at positions of need. One free agent who makes a lot of sense as a potential addition to edge rusher is Trey Flowers, who has a history with Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores. Depending on what happens with the Danielle Hunter situation, the Vikings could find themselves in desperate need of another starting caliber edge defender or two. But even if Hunter gets extended in 6th round of Minnesota, signing Flowers could boost the depth for a position group that lost Zadarius Smith to Cleveland. Now, Flowers turns 30 in August, so it's hard to call him washed up just yet. Unfortunately, he only played in 18 games over the past 3 seasons with the Detroit Lions and the Miami Dolphins due to various injuries. Health is a major question mark with Flowers, but it's also a reason why it shouldn't cost much to add him on a 1-year deal. A 4th-round pick by the Patriots out of Arkansas in 2015, Flowers spent 4 seasons overlapping with Flores in New England. Now, during that time, he quickly became a standout outside linebacker on one of the league's best defenses, okay? Flowers barely played as a rookie, but he racked up 21 sacks and 5 forced fumbles between 2016 and 2018. He added 5.5 sacks in 9 playoff games during that time, and also winning 2 Super Bowls, okay? We like that. Now come over to Minnesota and find a way to win your 3rd and win us our 1st one. I think that'd be fantastic. We can all be in agreement on that. Now, in 2019, Flowers signed a huge 5-year, $90 million contract with the Detroit Lions. He continued to produce in his first year in Detroit, recording another 7 sacks and 62 pressures. His 3rd straight year with at least 60 pressures. The injury bug now has hit Flowers hard since then, but he's still been fairly productive when he's managed to get on the field. Last season, he played just 64 defensive snaps with the Miami Dolphins, recording only 8 pressures. Now, when looking at the last 3 years, it's very difficult to count on Flowers staying healthy in 2023. However, the cost of signing him shouldn't be high, and the potential upside he could provide if he does stay healthy makes it worth the risk. Reuniting Flowers with Flores could add some nice depth and talent to the Vikings rotation at outside linebacker or edge rusher. So, for me, I'd be okay with this. I think it'd be a good signing. It'd be a smart signing. I'm not sure how much he would cost against the salary cap or how much he would be against the salary cap. But look, his first couple years in the league, 7.5 sacks basically every season. 7 sacks if you average it out basically every single year. Then he went to the last couple seasons, right? His last 3 years, actually. He's been hurt quite a bit, but when he's on the field, his production seems to be there. And look, if we do re-sign Danielle Hunter, like this article said, it would help us with depth. It'd give us really, really good depth behind Danielle Hunter, okay? And Marcus Davenport, I believe, is on the other side. So I would like that signing. And if we don't end up keeping Danielle Hunter, we can still have him as one of our depth pieces, even if he wants to start. It's just basically at this point, let's add some depth to it because we really don't know what we have behind DJ Wanham. Okay, because we have, Danielle Hunter and Marcus Davenport on both the edges. Then you're looking at DJ Wanham and Patrick Jones II. Both DJ Wanham and Patrick Jones II are very inconsistent, but Trey Flowers is as well. And if you just add a little bit more firepower, somebody's going to start to click. Somebody's going to stay healthy. They're going to get into a rhythm, and they're going to help our defense. And look, our defense has been terrible the last couple of years, at least not too bad, but towards the bottom of the league bad, and we need to fix that. And I think Flores is the first step there. Adding massive pieces, veteran pieces, people who have been to a Super Bowl and won the big game, that would help us even more. So adding Trey Flowers, I think, would be a good idea before camp. It doesn't mean we have to keep him. We can cut him if we don't like him and his production. And plus, hey, health to me isn't a massive issue when you're talking about our Minnesota Vikings, okay? We have the #1 facility, at least in my opinion, the TCO Medical Center, where we have the greatest doctors or some of the best team athletic trainers and stuff like that to keep these players healthy. And when they are injured, they get back on the field sort of at a quicker pace than most franchises, I'd say. We've been kind of, unfortunate with the big-time injuries like Lewis Seen and Brian O'Neill like that in the past. But those small injuries, our players seem to come back a little bit quicker than usual. So health isn't really that big of an issue for me, especially if we're just adding him as a depth piece. I think he can, help us out tremendously in that aspect. Otherwise, you can look at running backs potentially being added. We talked about Kareem Hunt, Ezekiel Elliott, and stuff like that. But the Vikings should consider adding defensive end, outside linebacker, Trey Flowers to the depth chart. I don't know. You guys can let me know what you think about that in the comments. Drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It would be much, much appreciated. Have a great rest of your day, folks, and Skol Vikes.